Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown. This would be the Hump Day edition of the Rundown. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast, but I do not do this program by myself.
Hump Day! Hey, this is Mike Piwowarski coming to you from the right coast, the East Coast, down here in mostly free state of Florida. I am the loud talker. Evidently, somebody told me that yesterday. So great to have you all here. It's nice to see everybody here on the Rundown.
Well, Mike, no one has ever said that you were a quiet individual.
Yeah, listen, I didn't know. I got surprised yesterday. They say, "Oh man, stop! You're a loud talker." I'm like, that's like a Seinfeld character, isn't it? The loud talker. I didn't know, and then they were like, well. Because there was another woman at a desk where we were, and she was talking clearly and crisply, and I'm like, wow, I can hear everything she's saying. She's enunciating properly. We walked away, and my partner said, yeah, she's a loud talker like you. I'm like, well, we figured, hold on, wait a second. First of all, what do you mean like me? And she's not a loud talker. Like, well, yeah, you're a loud talker. And I go, well, just because you're a whisper talker, a soft talker, doesn't mean I'm a loud talker. I'm like, after all, I'm kind of in the public speaking business. Perhaps, speaking Mike, clearly is important.
I speak all loud and stuff and normal, and I have no idea what you're saying.
There you go. There's Craig, the low talker.
No, I actually am a loud talker as well. So, which is probably why we get along, because we can hear each other.
Yeah, the only time I've known that it's been a problem, Craig, is for some reason I have horrible luck with phones. Like crappy phones. So right. If I go buy the new iPhone, mine's the one that comes with one speaker working instead of two. So when I answer a phone, it's usually I try to be clear and crisp. I'm like, hello, hello, and people are like, ooh, easy. So now I speak up when I'm on a phone, and I guess I'm not supposed to do that.
For me,
other than that, I just thought I was speaking clearly. Nobody has to stop and go, huh? What'd you say?
No, for me, the volume control disappears the more I consume of adult beverages. Volume control goes out the window.
I don't really drink alcohol, so I couldn't help you there.
I know. I just that's I keep forgetting that's just a prop behind you. That's a green screen.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, we don't want to give the wrong image to the children that are watching.
No, there should be no children watching.
I'm more worried about the guns behind you because they could get up and do something dangerous at any time.
I too have been concerned about that. So I ran a test, and I think I've told you about this. I actually took all my guns. I laid them out on the table. I spoke harshly to them. I left them unsupervised. I even left out some alcohol for them, and to see. And there was absolutely no gun violence took place. So I think my guns at least are safe. No, I don't have to worry about gun violence for my guns.
I've done that before, and I've had to take the belt to them because, listen, a belt-fed weapon's a happy weapon.
Oh my! It is. There is something about making fun of anti-gunners and their perspectives that is quite rewarding.
It's it's like punching a baby. It's so easy, It's just.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, okay, when is punching a baby rewarding?
I didn't say it was rewarding. I said it was easy.
Oh, easy. Well, duh.
I said it was easy. Yeah, I'm not going around punching a lot of babies. I mean, I don't know, maybe like a Taliban baby, I guess you could punch, but I don't know if it had like an AK or something.
Dude, I worry about you sometimes. Sincerely, I do. All right, hey, let's get on into today's stories. New Mexico used to kind of be known, I think, as a free state. Not so much anymore. So in New Mexico, they've now passed a law that basically says that if you own a gas station and you sell gas to someone who is inebriated, intoxicated, however you want to say it, that you could be held liable if they go out and get into an accident or something like that. Mike, I don't know about you, but this just sounds like a very dangerous, slippery slope.
This sounds stupid. There's definitely a dangerous and slippery slope. That's for sure. I got to tell you, Craig, the first time I read the article, I said, man, what are they doing down in Mexico now? Now Mexican, listen, you can run around and kill people down there, but you can't buy gasoline. And then I read it again. I'm like, wait a second, this is New Mexico. This is not the country of Mexico. This is in the state of New Mexico. I'm like, this kind of craziness is going on here in America. Wow. Because this opens it up to everything. This opens up to all sorts of liabilities for manufacturers or dealers of any product whatsoever. Now we know it's covered by the PLACA law, the Protection Against Lawful Acts Commerce Act, with the firearms, where you can't, as long as you've manufactured a working firearm and it's been sold legally from manufacturer to distributor to dealer, you can't be held liable for somebody's illegal acts when they after they get a hold of that firearm, whether they purchase or steal it, whatever it may be. That applies to many other industries as well, but it had to be specified for law enforcement back 10, 15 years ago. Now, you're telling me that if we could take gasoline and dealers, get gas stations, and charge them with aiding and abetting in a DUI, where you're right, Craig. Where does that stop? Is the person who sold them the car now liable? Is Ford Motor Company now liable? What about Goodyear? They put the tires on the car. Are they now liable? Where does this ridiculousness stop?
Well, okay, so just an interesting point. So one thing I need to make sure to note, this isn't necessarily a new law. This was actually a decision that was made by a judge. So There's a good chance that this thing could wind up getting overturned. Oh no, I take that back. It was the New Mexico Supreme Court that made this decision.
That's a court. Yep, there you go. Yep.
Well, but what's crazy here is, so let's say someone comes to the gas station and they do the auto pay and the little credit card thingy outside. You've now sold them gas. You are now liable.
Yeah. Right. Do we have to do a background check? Do you have to give them a DUI test before we can sell everybody gasoline?
Right.
This is the problem, Craig, with living in the desert. When you live in the desert, it dries up all your brain juices and you can't think right. And
well,
this is what's going on in New Mexico.
And Mike, the thing is most people who get DUIs are not people who are three sheets to the wind. They're not people who are way over the limit. Generally, it's almost always people who are borderline. And so if you have an individual who is borderline and you don't really know that they're intoxicated, but they go and they get into an accident or they get pulled over or whatever it is, and they test, over the limit, you're now saying that you're going to be held liable. You have to, like you said, what are you going to have to do? Are you going to do? Give them a blood test or a breathalyzer before you sell them any gas?
Yep. Yeah, right. You put your go out to the pump. You put your card in one end and you put some urine in the other, and you're good to go. We will not dispense. It'll be like the alcohol sensors inside your vehicle that you get sentenced to.
Yeah, I don't see this holding up. I don't see this holding
absolutely
up.
Not. This is ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous, and this is evidently the state of New Mexico.
Yeah.
Again, I can only contribute this to standing out in the desert sun too long. And
well, evidently there were several justices who have spent too much time, obviously, in the New Mexico desert.
I bet
maybe with some peyote.
Yeah, yeah. I bet if we go back and do a little research, we'll find out like the AC was out that day in the judges' chambers or something, and they were just like, "Let's just get this done. Let's get the hell out of here. Come on, let's
just get it done."
Yeah.
All right, so moving right along. So as we all know, that with the Delta variant of COVID-19. We all know that everyone is freaking out. We all know that virus infections or infection rates are up. As far as I've seen, hospitalization rates are not up. Deaths are not necessarily up. But for the most part, people are freaking out because, more people are getting infected. Well, first of all, 97% of the new infections are people who are unvaccinated. That's number one. And number two, it still hasn't changed in terms of the infection rates for those under the age, for people who are under the age of 65. For the most part, if you are under the age of 20, your chances of getting seriously sick or dying from COVID are still they're still significantly low. Having said that, the American Academy of Pediatrics has come out and said that children as young as 2 years old, so in other words, over the age of 2, should wear masks indoor, whether they're vaccinated or not. Now, we all know that, first of all, this goes completely against the science. We 100%, by the way, against the science. And we also know that the American Academy of Pediatrics is a known left-wing political group, and is less known for their medicine than they are for their left-wing politics. And Mike, I wanted to get your perspective on this particular story.
Wait, I heard we're supposed to wear masks again. Are we supposed to wear the masks? Are we wearing?
Yes, even when you're indoors by yourself.
Indoors by myself. Time to wear the masks.
Where's your mask? Where's your mask, man? Where's your mask?
It's crazy, Chrissy. The American Academy of Pediatrics, isn't that the one that gives out the Oscars every year? Is that the same academy? Am I thinking of there? Is it a different academy?
That's more like the American Academy of Pedophiles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Had to go there, huh? This again. What are we doing? Are we listen? We just about got our country back, getting a lot of freedoms back, and oh wait, not yet. Put your mask back on. We've got to get this done. I saw a similar study this week, Craig. It said, now that we have the new Delta variant out there, if everybody would just go back to wearing masks for 6 weeks, we could crush this variant and get herd immunity. And remember the original story, Craig? 2 to 3 weeks, folks. We just want to stand down for 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll be over this. All right. Have you had it? Craig just said this to you. Have you had it with this line of crap that they're giving you? This is not based on the science. This is not based on the science at all. And in fact, I even heard Craig say the fact that of 95% of the people that are showing up in the hospitals are not vaccinated. Yet when you go on to continue to read the story, it says the new variant attacks people that have the virus, that have the vaccination. So what is it, folks? It's one or the other. You don't get to have it both ways here. So let's move on, shall we? Get on with your life. Move on. Do your social distance. Wash your hands. Do whatever you want to do. You should be doing that. You should be doing that anyway, virus or not.
Yeah.
Let's get on with our lives.
Well, exactly. The thing is, Mike, is that people who decided to get the vaccine made the choice for themselves. The people who've decided not to get it made the choice for themselves. And, if there are side effects to the vaccine, then the people who got it have to deal with the side effects. If there's not, if the people who decided not to get the vaccine and, if they are at greater risk if they, contract the virus and have to deal with it, then that's the choice that they've made. But I think by now, people have a pretty good idea of what is going on and the decisions that they want to make, and they're making informed decisions for themselves. If there's anything, and people want to talk about the quote unquote misinformation that's out there, if there's anybody who's causing this misinformation, it's the medical and scientific community and the politicians, because they keep sending mixed messages. You have a president who said you need to social distance and you need to protect the elderly. He stands, 60 feet away from the media with a mask on, and then goes in front of President Carter, who's 95 years old, and takes a picture with him with no mask on, with his arm around him. I mean, stuff like that you've got one medical group saying everyone should wear masks. You got another group saying no one should wear masks. You've got Dr. Fakey changing his tune every 5 minutes. How are we supposed to know what is good information? All we know is that the people who keep trying to correct us on what the information is keep changing their minds because they keep getting it wrong.
Yeah, I just watched Dr. Fakey having an argument with Senator Rand Paul. And to where Dr. Fakey pointed his finger at him and said, you sir are the liar. I wonder if anybody's told Dr. Fakey that Senator Paul is actually a surgeon, a real live doctor.
Well, what they were arguing about was Rand Paul was basically pointing out, when he came before the Senate subcommittee, he said he had never funded. He never funded the lab or any gain of use research. Yeah. Yet he gave money to a lab that was doing gain of function research.
Right.
The point of the money, they gave the money so that they could take this virus, they could make it more dangerous, so that they could see if they could, so to make it more dangerous. Yes. Or to alter it. That's what they were doing. They were studying it to alter it. Well, that's the definition of gain of use, and that's exactly what Rand Paul was telling him. Is like, by the very definition, you are literally just saying, it's almost like you're saying, well, okay, I know that they're an organization that I know that he's a guy who only robs banks, and I gave him my gun not so that he could rob a bank, even though I knew he robs banks and uses guns to do so.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Dr. Fake, he lied about it.
He did. He lied. He got up there and he lied because he didn't want to own it, which is the very same reason why he called the whole thing absurd that it could have possibly come from a lab, because once again, he did not want to be implicated.
That's right. Dr. Fakey, the chief of science fiction for the Biden administration. So,
right. And, in the end, what's going to wind up happening, I mean, is because people are going to do what they're going to do, and people are going to do with their kids what they're going to do. And, if in particular public schools, I'm just going to tell you right now, public schools that are going to make their kids wear masks, you're going to start to see people are just going to pull their kids out and they're going to send them to private school or they're going to homeschool. I mean, if there's nothing else that they've learned, as many parents have learned over the last year and a half, is that they've learned whether or not they can homeschool their kids. And if they decide that it's just worth it to just do that, they'll do that and they'll pull them out of your schools. I guarantee you that will happen. I'm a school board member. I'm already seeing it happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there are people out there. There's some that have concerns over, social interaction with kids and everything else. So all those other means, but there are plenty out there that have said, the risk versus reward, the ability to make up, that shortfall over here, it works. You're definitely going to see less kids in school from now on, for a generation or two, because of everybody involved with, the year and a half that kids have been out of school and the ability for them to, get their education done remotely. So you're definitely going to see that. Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, all I know is, folks, make the decisions that you want. I don't consider the American Academy of Pediatrics to be and the problem is this, is that first of all, masks have become a political statement. COVID has become a political statement. So what you have to always understand is you have to look at the people who are giving you the advice and recognize that to a certain degree, their advice is coming from their political stance. And you may not necessarily be making your decision based on that, but understand that the information that oftentimes they're giving you is in the American Academy of Pediatrics it's a left-wing group that's not really interested in medicine is second, politics is first with them.
American Academy of Pediatrics. Listen, although we're thankful for the nomination, we're going to decline the award of wearing masks in school as children. So thank you.
There you go.
It's just a pleasure to be nominated sometimes. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of awards, the mayor of Rochester, New York, has won an award, and that award would be, gun charges. Yeah. Now, the only reason why I bring stuff like this up is because, so you guys remember, or may or may not remember, Mike Bloomberg used to have a group called Mayors Against Illegal Guns. Now, you may recognize that group no longer exists. There's now Everytown. But the reason why Mayors for Illegal Guns no longer exists is because, many of the mayors or the politicians who were part of this group kept getting indicted for crimes or kept getting investigated for crimes. And this mayor, Mayor Lovely Warren of Rochester, New York, is no different. She has been now arrested and indicted, her and her husband, for the illegal possession of firearms amongst other charges.
Yeah, listen, this one's kind of a tough story now. It's up there in Rochester. Now, Rochester is a city up in upstate New York, but I'm not sure I like the way they got to do the search warrant on her house to begin with. By the way, she also won a search warrant, Craig. So and she didn't even try for it. She just won it. She's been estranged from her husband for years now, and evidently he was involved in some sort of alleged illegal drug transactions by the state police that was investigating in the area. And I guess they found 5, 6, 7 people that they wanted to do follow-up search warrants on their house. And his was one of them. Well, listen, state police, you got to do better than what's the license on his or address on his driver's license. You got to, and then write the search warrant for that. You got to prove he lives there. Okay, you can't just take the address off the driver's license and say it's the home of record. You have to prove he lives there. They did the search warrant at the the estranged wife's house. That's our mayor. And then they found these guns. Now, so Craig, listen, I get it. She's a hypocrite, and I wouldn't trust her as far as I can throw her. She's an anti-gun hypocrite. Yet when they search the home, they find these 2 firearms in there. Having said that, I think we may have to look at some Fourth Amendment issues before they discovered the Second Amendment issues. They shouldn't have been in her house at all. From how I'm reading the story. But now that they are, guess what? I'm glad the people of Rochester understand that their anti-gun mayor believes that it's okay for her to have firearms and not for you.
Well, and that's the point. That's the entire point of the story, is that not only does she possess these firearms, but she's in illegal possession of these firearms. Because here's the thing: if they're estranged and he doesn't live there, then that clearly means those are her guns, or
Correct.
She has allowed him to store his guns in her home. Either way, she's in illegal possession of firearms, but it's also, so let's just say it's all innocent. Let's just say that, those were his guns. She didn't know whether or not he owned them or possessed them legally or anything along those lines. It's an example. Now, here's someone who supposedly rabidly, wants to end gun. I'm sorry, I forgot to do the quotations. Gun violence and supports gun control and yada, yada, yada. But here it is. She's now in the system for having potentially committed a gun crime. And maybe she didn't do it. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe she could be 100% completely innocent. It lets you know how difficult it is to comply with the law relating to firearms when you have people writing it who have no idea what they're talking about or what they're doing. I mean, you almost have to be a lawyer to be a gun owner in some places in the United States.
Let me make sure I get the charges right here, Craig. Let me make sure I read these right. She was charged with the criminal possession of a firearm, 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child, and 2 counts of failure to secure firearms in a home. So they had these firearms, and the way it reads, I'm not sure that where it says their criminal possession of the firearm, is that because of the way they were stored, or is that a separate charge?
I would believe that's a separate charge. It may be that firearm is not registered to her,
Right.
or that she's not legally owning it or possessing it. It could be his gun in her house, right?
Yeah,
and she doesn't have a license to own a firearm. That's what I'm guessing. But the only thing is, I think they were both arrested, right?
Yeah, he was arrested separately elsewhere, nowhere near this house.
Okay, so then chances are, there was a firearm in her home that was not registered to her, that she wasn't supposed to own or be in possession of.
Right. Now, if this had been across the state lines, just to the south of Rochester there, down in Pennsylvania, those criminal possession charges wouldn't exist. That's a New York State anomaly of, you can't have a firearm unless we approve it,
Well, and there's also it sounds like there's also storage charges. So
yes,
it probably wasn't locked in a safe. It could have been in a drawer somewhere, which, by the way, in most other states, that would not be a crime either.
Yeah, depending on the state you're in, how you store your firearm can or cannot be a crime.
It doesn't, by the way, and that doesn't necessarily mean it was sitting out on the coffee table, loaded and ready to go. It could have been put away in a closet or in a drawer somewhere. Where only they knew where it was or something like that. It doesn't even necessarily mean it was loaded. It just means that there was a firearm that wasn't locked up.
Right, because their state law says must be locked if there's children under 16 in the house.
Right.
God forbid you want to defend yourself and be responsible, adults and have your firearm someplace you could actually use it. You have to wait now when the bad guy comes through the door to go get to your safe and have him hold on a moment so you can get that out.
Here's an interesting question. Do you know if in New York, does the firearm have to be unloaded when it's stored?
I do not know that about New York. I do know that New York also can have these laws drilled down as far as city ordinances, Craig. So, I guess the irony is here she could be a victim of her own ordinance.
Well, exactly, because literally this could be the case. And I'm not saying it is, but it could be the case. There was a firearm that maybe was someone else's, that they possessed this firearm. It was in a safe, loaded, but in a locked safe. But because it wasn't unloaded, that could then present the unsafe storage and endangering a child.
Right. Firearms must be stored using a gun locking device or in a safe, and then cannot be left outside the immediate possession and control of the owner or other lawful owner if a child resides in the home or is present. states that the notice of the law, child meaning anyone under 16 who does not have a valid hunting license, and it goes on from there. So it does not say, at least.
Okay, it doesn't say anything about it being loaded. Okay.
It could or could not be loaded.
So it just means it wasn't locked or there wasn't a locking device.
Correct.
Well, there you go. And I'm 99.9% sure that is a law that she supported, and here she is breaking it. But that's because gun control laws don't apply to them.
Nope, absolutely not. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So victim of her own policy. Yeah. Sorry about your luck.
All right. Hey, moving right along. Now, in California, of all places, something very different happened. All right. So there was a guy who was arrested. And the judge, a California judge, actually refused to confiscate his firearms, even though under most cases they actually wanted him to confiscate the firearms. Mike, you want to illuminate folks a little bit on this particular story?
Yeah, we've got this judge in California. By the way, Craig, Yolo County, is that right? The name of the county this occurred?
It is called. It is Yolo County. It is. Matter of fact, I am like 5-minute drive, 10-minute drive to Yolo County.
Did this change recently? Was this a bunch of people going YOLO, and they changed the county? And this is really the name of your county?
Nope. Now, do you really? I know some of the places there in Florida. Do you really want to start making fun of names of cities?
Nothing here is named YOLO. I gotta say that. Yeah. We might throw alligators on roofs to teach it a lesson, but we don't. That's a Florida's man story this week, by the way. But we don't have YOLO County. Do you have BOGO County where you can buy things, buy one get one free?
No, we do not. No, we do not.
Don't have BOGO. Just YOLO. Just you only live
just
once.
YOLO.
County. Got it. All right. So in YOLO County, this gentleman was. Craig, I think this was a fight with a cousin or a nephew. Or something like that, a simple misdemeanor charge that was not even covered under the domestic violence statutes.
Yes.
So this wasn't like it was a spouse, girlfriend, or anything like that. This happened to be a relative, a family member, but not somebody that lived in the same household with them. So it didn't qualify for the domestic violence statutes. Diversion. I think they got this down to. They said, okay, it's going to be a diversion case. We're not going to go for a misdemeanor conviction. However, your district attorney there in Yolo County, says, Your Honor, I think that we should seize all of his firearms. Well, two issues with this, Craig, and I love these. One, like we just covered, it was not a case of domestic violence or anything that would be red flaggable, I guess.
Right.
And
nothing
to seize the firearms. The second is the suspect, the alleged criminal here, who, by the way, they're not going to convict. They're going to give him diversion. He lives in the state of Ohio.
I was waiting for it.
He lives in the state of Ohio. So Yolo County, California is now trying to enforce gun confiscation in Ohio.
It is beyond ridiculous. I'm telling you, man, I read that. I'm like, I was reading the story and I'm thinking to myself, I realized that it was idiotic. I'm like, first of all, I'm just like, this is just flat out illegal. I mean, it's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor crime, number one. Number two, they're not even necessarily convicting him. They're sending him to a diversion program. Yep. It's not domestic violence, which for the most part is one of the few misdemeanors that's actually prohibitable. And even then, it's not a permanent prohibition. It's only a temporary prohibition.
Right.
I think it's 5-year prohibition. Well, actually, no. In California, they may have made it lifetime. But anyway, all that having been said, it's not priorable. I mean, it's not one that makes you prohibited. It's not prohibiting. But then on top of all that, dude lives in Ohio. They're trying to get the law enforcement in Ohio to confiscate his guns.
Yeah, I think the way it was written up, it was they realized they couldn't get the law enforcement to do it, so they tried to get the judge to order the man to turn his guns in to the police or to a dealer. So they couldn't order the police to seize it, so they tried to order this guy to voluntarily turn in his guns based on a Yolo County court order. And the judge, I think, just did the whole no, move along, nothing to see.
Well, dude, this is an example. Now, this is where we wonder why we have criminals running rampant in the street, why crime is up, why violent crime is up. It's because we're electing these district attorneys who are more interested in going after law-abiding citizens,
Yep.
who are not interested in real crime. They want to reimagine law enforcement. And reimagine means we're going to take things that are crimes and they're not going to be crimes anymore. We're going to take people who are criminals and we're going to let them out on the street. And then we're going to take the people who would be victimized by those criminals and we're going to disarm them. And we're also going to, by the way, disarm and neuter the people who are supposed to protect them. And that's how we're going to reimagine crime in these United States.
Yeah, focus on re-examining your crime in Yolo County, maybe then the rest of California. And then if you can get all of the gun crimes solved in California, then maybe we'll let you help us in Ohio. Otherwise, go away. Just
go away.
Yeah, you don't have to.
You don't have to go home.
Mad. Just go away.
Yeah, there you go. Just go home. Just go home. Speaking about going home, well, we've been talking about Waco Dave for quite a while. Apparently, they just seem to be having one heck of a time getting Waco Dave approved to be the director of the ATF. Well, one of the most anti-gun, anti-freedom, anti-liberty members of the Senate has come out now. Senator Dick Durbin has come out and basically just said, yeah, there's a lot of issues with Dave Chipman, and hopefully we'll get him in, but hey, you never know.
This just goes to prove that David Waco Chipman needs more Dick Durbin in his life. This guy right here. We know how Dick Durbin is. A Democrat.
No, you know what he needs to do. He needs to eat a bag of dicks.
Oh, yep, that's it, David. There we go. For David Waco Chipman, you can eat a bag of dicks. And do it with Dick Durbin. You'll have Dick with dicks. Or Dicks with Dick. I forget what it is. Anyway, feel free to edit this all out later. Right now, if you want to, Craig. Just we can cut it all out. I don't know at what point the FCC says, listen, I know you're on Facebook and YouTube, but you can only say Dick like 9 times. You can't go more than that. Even if you have a bag of dicks in front of you, you can't keep saying it. So let's see. Listen, Dick Durbin. I believe this is virtual signaling, right? Is that what the kids call it these days?
Virtue
Craig?
signaling. Yes.
He's throwing up the pass in the air here, waiting for the president to catch it, saying, "Listen, this is not our guy. This is not the guy we want to be in charge of the ATF. There's too many issues here." And he tried to be, politically correct about it, but it's clear that he's giving signals that this is not the right guy for the ATF.
Well, he's basically saying we can't get this guy passed. There's too many issues with Democrats. Because here's the thing: to get him approved, you need every single Democrat, and you don't have them all. They won't even say. Put it this way: they won't even do a procedural vote to find out how many Democrats they actually have. I'm sure they've done a whip count, but they won't even do a procedural vote to try and find out if they have enough. Because the fact is they're probably not even close, and they're embarrassed to admit they're not even close.
Listen, folks, you need to understand this, and I know Craig and I have brought this to you before. This could have been brought to a vote, a procedural vote, and then a full House vote over a month ago. This has been ready to go. The reason they do not is because they're sitting back. Well, if we can postpone and we can pause this, perhaps we'll get a mass shooting somewhere. And then if we get a mass shooting somewhere, people will have to vote for it then. Even Republicans will have to vote for it. Otherwise, there'll be 4 mass shootings. That's what they're doing. We're continuing to leave the ATF without a head. We're continuing to leave the nation in a lurch without somebody in charge of the alcohol, tobacco, firearms division because the Democrats have their fingers crossed that a mass shooting is going to take place.
Pretty much, or at least maybe the White House, because the White House hasn't pulled them. Maybe that's it. Because I think they don't want to be embarrassed by having a nominee fail. So that's why they won't have a vote, but they don't have enough votes.
Right.
But at the same time, they're also probably thinking, well, if we wait long enough, there'll eventually be a mass shooting where we'll be able to then get him in there and have a vote.
And I'm not sure how long it takes to orchestrate one of those mass shootings. I mean, they've got a lot of work to do before they can put one of those on, and stage another one,
Well, they call, now let's clarify. They call them mass shootings. We call them mass casualty events involving firearms.
Yeah, I call them, mass homicides. Yeah,
Mass homicides.
Multiple murders is what they are.
Right.
It's about the individual. It's not about the tool.
Exactamundo.
Yeah. Although that individual could be a tool.
Hey, before we go into today's parting shot, I want to remind the folks about Freedback Friday.
Freedback Friday. Say it with me. Freedback Friday. Thanks, Craig, for saying it with me, by the way. Let's see. We have coming up this week from our good friends at Gorilla Machining. Gorilla Machining, we have a barrel and flash hider. This is for an AR short barrel rifle build or a pistol build. It's going to be a 5.5 inch 9mm barrel to go with your build that you're doing there at your home. If you're happen to be in a state where it's legal, this is going to be a threaded barrel. So maybe if you don't have it, we'll send you a bag of dicks. We can do that for you as well.
Right.
I think that's 12 times we said it. So
that is, I do think we've hit a record today.
Yep.
But it included Dick Durbin. So does that really count? If we mentioned Dick Durbin, a guy named Dick, does that really count?
14. There we go. We're up to 14 now. There we go.
I'm saying Richard's name.
That's it. Senior Richards. There we go.
Senior Richard. All right. Well, let's get into today's parting shot. This one was, Mike, you found this one, and I just found it to be nostalgic.
Yeah, listen. As a student of history, an actual learned student, it's one of my minors there. I saw this story and thought basically the same thing, and then somebody in one of my military circles posted this. Clearly, that's John Belushi saying we're putting the band back together again, as he did in the Blues Brothers. Well, Japan has proposed joint naval drills with Germany. Now, listen, up until the last 5 years, Japan's military has been known as the Japanese Defense Forces. Defense Forces. Now, thanks to America, yay, go America, we actually helped pull them out of their defense force role because we were using them as assets during the war on terror in Afghanistan and and Iraqi freedom. So having taken the Japanese Defense Forces and giving them a little more authority, now the Japanese have also gotten a little more aggressive with defending territorial waters from China, as China's reclamation of island building has been occurring down there in the South China Sea. Mm-hmm. So Japan has become a little more powerful. Yet when Japan says to Germany and Germany says, okay, hey, let's get together and do some exercises, I think the rest of the world goes, hey, yeah, let's wait a second, hold on, who? Which all right, no. Yeah. No. And then you got Italy over there going, hey, we're free that weekend. Can we help? No, absolutely not.
And then you have the French saying, well, we'd love company if you'd like to come hang out and occupy us for a while.
Oh, what? Yeah. Actually, we're not occupied that weekend. Why don't you come over? Wait.
We're not occupied.
Why don't you guys come hang out? All right. Okay. Yeah. Sure. We'll drive right over. It'll be a blitzkrieg of fun. So yeah, not so fun.
I've been watching. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I've finished watching The Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime.
Right.
It's kind of interesting to see. It's basically a world where the Axis countries won World War II, and you have half the United States controlled by Japan, the other half controlled by Germany. It's a very interesting look at an alternate history.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd just say that. I'll recommend it. Yeah.
Would definitely. If you haven't watched it, would definitely recommend that you watch it. A little depressing, to be quite honest, but it shows you the possibility of what could have been, and makes you even more grateful for what we have.
Can't say it much better than that, Craig. Can't say it much better than that. That's for sure.
All right, folks. Well, hey, that's going to be it for this edition of The Rundown. Once again, as usual, we very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking, sharing, and subscribing, and encouraging your friends to do the same. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. And like I said, encourage your friends to do the same.
There we go. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Gorilla Machining. And we'll see you all on Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday. See you then.